There we go. I got you.
Okay, we are now joined by Brad Keselowski, driver of the #2 Dent Wizard Ford for Team Penske. And Brad, we're going to go straight into questions. Our first question is going to come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with your question, Jenna.
Hey, Brad, you said you couldn't sleep last night. What's going on? How you feeling?
Really good. I feel great. These next two races, Jenna, really fit, I think, terrific. And I'm just excited. I was really nervous about Texas. I thought Texas would be the, most difficult race for us to get through in this round, and ended up going really well for us. And these next two races, I'm just, I want to say licking my chops, but I feel like based on our season's performance to date, they present the best chance for us to go out and really have a chance to win and, get a second championship. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Are you racing to win at Martinsville to get in, or do you see other paths?
I think there's other paths, but I think we got a shot at winning, a great shot. I'm looking at starting from the pole. That's a good feeling. And then I'm thinking about obviously the speed we've had to date on the short tracks, and all those things combined. I feel pretty good.
You all right there in your house?
Yeah, sorry. I had to get away from my two youngins.
All right. Thanks, Brad. See you this weekend.
No problem. Sounds good. Thank you.
Our next question will come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, Brad, some drivers pretty much shut down social media and everything during this time just to focus, but it seems like you do a little bit. You don't really kind of change much of what you do. Is that accurate? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I used to just do social media all by myself, and I have a little bit more help now than I do. So that's been a big deal for me. And I lean on that help and support that I get to keep it to where social media can still be fun for me. And I've always said that I get more out of social media than what I put in, and I still feel that way. And I understand why some people might not feel that way, and that's okay. But no, I'm just steady Eddie, stay the course.
And I think some teams are probably going through what Penske went through last year, trying to decide about crew chief changes and stuff for next year. Didn't sound like you were maybe totally on board with it when the decision was made. And I'm curious, how much input should teams take from drivers as far as whether there should be a crew chief change?
Yeah, man, I think you always want to have some input, no matter what your job is, on what happens around you. So certainly I always think a driver should, but one of the roles of a car owner is to see what's going on around him and with his team, and make decisions that might not always be popular, but are best for the team. So there's certainly a balancing act there.
Thank you.
No problem, Bob.
Our next question will come from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead with your question, Jordan.
Brad, wondering about NASCAR's decision to rotate the championship or move it to Phoenix this year, with the idea of maybe rotating it down the road. Your thoughts on that and the infrastructural improvements that Phoenix has made compared to what it used to be?
Well, I think first, Jordan, I'll start with the infrastructure. I think it's great that to see a racetrack and a community make an investment like Phoenix Raceway has. And, that track went from being pretty outdated to arguably being the most modern NASCAR track we have. So, it was very welcome by the industry. And, with that came an embrace for the championship weekend for 2020. And I think that's really well earned whenever you're willing to make that kind of investment on a facility. To your other question about the championship race changing week to week, or not week to week, but season, I'm supportive of that. I think variety is the spice of life. And I think one of the reasons in my mind why NASCAR had such a big boom in the late 90s and early 2000s is because they were going to different tracks. New tracks were being added to the schedule, and some of the good tracks that we already had were kept on the schedule. And I think that I'd like to see that become the norm. So I'm really excited what I've seen with the changes for the 2021 schedule. And I think NASCAR's maybe thinking similar.
Our next question will come from Michael Shelton. Go ahead with your question, Michael.
Thank you. Well, Brad, with the 2.5 mile landmines out of the way, you're now coming to a track which you've won at in the past, and things seem to be setting up in your favor. While you're not automatically in, you're still a healthy 25 points ahead, but still nothing is guaranteed. So I was just wondering like what your mindset is heading into this race. Yes, you have the pole and you've won, but what do you do to just, how much do you want to go for the win versus you want to just make sure that you get out of Martinsville in one piece and not ruin your championship hopes by getting mixed up in something?
No, I want to win. I know we're going to have a shot starting from the pole, having the first pit stall. That's as good a shot as you're going to get at Martinsville out the gate. Of course, you got to execute and deliver during the race, but I'm certainly going there to win and not thinking anything differently.
Do you think this is your best shot to win a championship since you won the championship and since they've gone to this new format, the cutoffs for the championship four?
I would say this year and probably 2015 were two really good opportunities for me to win a championship. I didn't pull it off in 2015, and I feel like that was, in retrospect, my fault. I feel like I've had other great seasons. 2014 was a great season, but we didn't really have the speed on the mile and a half, and the championship came down to the mile and a half at the end. So, 2012 we had great mile and a half speed, and it did come down to the mile and a half. So, all things considered, I think I have the best chance I've had, probably equal chance to what I had in 2012 and 2015, and I'm really excited for it.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead with your question, Kelly.
Hey, Brad.
Howdy.
You've said a few times you're going to win Martinsville, but being 2 points behind Denny and the last guy on the grid, if somebody, of course, does win, that could bump you if you stay in that position. So how much will you just be paying attention to Denny and trying to race him on points to avoid that if you don't get the win?
Yeah, I don't want to play defense. I just want to go out there and play offense. And I'm confident that we've got the capabilities as a team to do just that. So probably will not spend that much time thinking about him, at least not intentionally.
Right. And then secondly, I guess that would kind of answer this question then too, is with Martin having won the last two races there and he, of course, being outside the cut line, many are going to look at him as one of the favorites as well. Do you race him any tougher? Do you try and make it a long, hard day for him to make his life miserable so he can't go up there and get that win?
I plan on making it miserable for everyone, Kelly. I'm an opportunist. I like to just win it and not worry about it. I think it's very dangerous for me to focus on one car. I want to focus on my car if I'm going to focus on any cars.
Thank you.
No problem, Kelly.
Our next question will come from Chase Wilhelm. Go ahead with your question, Chase.
Hey, Brad. Thanks for joining us today. Just going back, I know you want to win at Martinsville, obviously, but I'm curious about the balance of aggression, having a 25-point cushion on the cut line. I know nothing's ever comfortable enough. But are there certain situations that you and maybe Jeremy talk about, just like, oh, this is if this happens, maybe we can do it this way. I know you can't predict the future, but I'm just curious about like that balance of aggression that you'll have on Sunday.
No, I haven't had any of those conversations with Jeremy, and I don't anticipate we will. I think we'll just completely focus on controlling our own destiny by winning.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Our next question will come from Eric Smith. Go ahead with your question, Eric.
Yeah, Brad, I'm just curious. I was asking Chase this. It seems like as the round of 8 goes on, your chances of a championship almost decrease. As an example, like the winner of the first race of the round has either won a championship or finished second the last 4 years. Winner of the second race, second or third. And then the last couple of years, the winner of the third race has finished fourth among the 4 at Homestead. Do you feel like maybe that's a byproduct of you can't focus on the championship car yet because you have to get there first? Is it more along the line of that, or do you feel like Joey, for example, has a big advantage since he's the only one of you eight that have won the race this round? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I thought previously that there was a good conversation to be had about why winning Martinsville was so important, because you could spend 2 or 3 weeks in the wind tunnel with your Homestead car, and aerodynamics being so important for Homestead. It give you a lot of time to tune that car up and put a lot of focus on it. Probably not so much the case for Phoenix. Not that aerodynamics aren't important in Phoenix, but not like they are at Homestead. So, I would say with that in mind, along with kind of the COVID effect, I don't anticipate it will be as big an advantage as it used to be.
And how do you balance, like you had a good car in Martinsville in June. Obviously the Toyota struggled a little bit. You know, they've made some changes. How do you balance with, do you make some changes between your car between June and now, or try not to swing too far the wrong direction going into this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So I know as a team, we've brought some new things, and I anticipate we'll be a little bit better.
Thanks, Brad. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Greg Engel. Go ahead with your question, Greg.
Brad, thanks for the quick tour through your house. It looks pretty nice. The switching gears, pun intended, looking at the Checker Flag Foundation, your foundation charity, obviously it's an important part of who you are. And as a veteran, I know I appreciate it. How hard has it been to do the things that foundation normally does during this, all this weird times we got going on? How hard has it been to, for example, fundraise and things like that? And how have you pivoted to take it, to adapt to the changing times? And have you learned any lessons you can carry forward that will help when all this is over?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge, and I don't want anybody to feel sad for me or my foundation, but it's definitely a challenge. We shifted to moving our events. We had 2 events we had to cancel, which was, it's kind of heartbreaking. Not from the fundraising side. I mean, obviously that doesn't help any at all, but more because we couldn't do things for the people we really cared about. We spent probably the last 3 years working to raise funds to build a Fisher House in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is my hometown, and close to my hometown, but my home state. And we finally got the thing open, and it was just as COVID hit, and we couldn't go to the ground opening or the grand opening. That really stunk. I really wanted to go to that, and but hey, that's not life or death. There's a lot worse things going on in the world. So I try to keep that in perspective. But, we have a number of initiatives that we've pushed off to the winter, specifically after the season's over, so that we can have some gatherings and so forth that are, don't jeopardize my day job, so to speak. So just part of everybody adjusting and acclimating to the new realities of the world we live in.
Thank you, my friend. Have fun this weekend. And as a veteran, again, I appreciate all the foundation does, and no reason to be sad, sir.
I appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
Our final question, Brad's going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead with your question, Dustin.
Wouldn't be a good Zoom call if you didn't have a barking dog in the background.
Hey, Brad. I just want to get your perspective with the with this round races being moved to Martinsville as opposed to being at the beginning of this round. Does talent matter less this weekend in the series, in the sense of, instead of me beating you, all I have to do is just knock you out of the way, and that's enough for me to, I mean, look, obviously these races were put here to create the demolition derby type of atmosphere. Does it take talent away, and does it make it easier to be a goon on the track?
I've never heard of it put that way. That's interesting. There's part of me that says it's harder and it requires more talent, because the finesse that it takes to get around Martinsville is much higher than it is to get around a Texas or a Kansas or a Homestead. But then on the other side, to your point, it is easier to just catch somebody, run them over, and move on. So I think it's somewhere in between. It's probably a little bit of both. It's a little bit harder and a little bit easier. It's a little bit harder just to make speed and to run away from the field and have a dominant day, because it takes a lot of talent, I think, to manage the car at a track like Martinsville. On the flip side, it takes less talent, to your point, of being able to just hit somebody and pass them. So yes, to both. It's both harder and easier.
Are you worried about, with the obviously the playoffs were set up with the elimination races the way they were, and this race with so much at stake? Are you worried about that it kind of dumbs down things and it could potentially make it easier for somebody just to kind of rough their way up? Or just, is it if I do it to you, you're going to get me back, and that should be enough of a thing that should stop me?
Well, as I've gotten older, and I dare I say a little bit wiser, I've learned not to worry about things I can't control. So I don't particularly worry about, what the racetrack lineup is because I can't change it. I can't control it. All I can do is try to be the best I can within the environment. So worrying doesn't really help me at all. So I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, Dustin, that way. But it does require, some adapting.
Thank you.
No problem.
Good deal, Brad. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and good luck this weekend in Martinsville.
Thank you, everybody.